Hello, 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 hello. It's Martin here with my property clinic. Yes, if you want to get in contact, I have a thing called Ask Martin Mondays on my Twitter. Anytime during a Monday, if you send me a question, I'll try and get back to you. But then I do a bit of a roundup here on YouTube, at least once a week, hopefully. Anyway, yeah, so if you've got some questions, you can actually send a question in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, and there's a subscribe button down there somewhere. And make sure you like this video, tell your friends, and Martin Roberts Property Tidbits is where you've got to go if you want lots of information. And just bounce around the site a bit, because there's some really fun stuff on here. Everything from DIY projects for kids to one of the things I'm hoping to do very soon is just interviews people who I call property legends and get them talking about how they got to be where they are. I'm going to be carrying on with my masterclass and various other things, but for now it is the property clinic. So this is from Careless Whisper. Hello. What's the most unusual thing you've seen in a house but liked it? Well, there was something I saw in a house and I wasn't sure if I liked it, but I thought, it's unusual. And that was in a kitchen where it was a fitted kitchen, but just by the side of the cooker was a rabbit hutch, like a built-in unit. I mean, obviously the rabbit still wasn't there because we'd obviously visited after the people had left. I mean, imagine leaving your rabbit. I mean, you wouldn't do that, would you? I thought, okay, well, this could go two ways, right? This is just like nice to be close to Thumper, or rather more darkly, Thumper's very close to the oven. So, not sure really if I liked it, but it was definitely unusual. So there you go. Thank you, Careless Whisper. Robert Clark, which is interesting enough, my granddad's name. When you visit a property, or when you're visiting a property rather, why do you not suggest using part of the garden as a vegetable patch? I grow my own. Oh my word. Well, it's interesting. I think one of the things they said during this whole period was that visiting your allotment was a kind of allowable exercise. And I think that's fantastic, right? I mean, wow. I mean, with the weather we've been having, I've just been out there just tending and mowing and weeding and sowing and just growing things. I mean, you know, there are a lot of people who are saying this time will probably take us all back to a little bit of how things were and some of the simpler things in life. I mean, don't underestimate the amount of pain it's causing a lot of people, but perhaps for another lot of people, it's definitely a bit of a life reset. Certainly helped by the weather. And obviously, if you're in a one-bedroom flat in a tower block, it's really, really, really tough. But if you've got a little bit of space, you can at least enjoy the sunshine. It's amazing. So the idea of growing vegetables is amazing. I did once go through a period of having an allotment. Well, it wasn't really an allotment, it was a bit of land that my uncle owned. Isn't it funny when you think of people sometimes, the most random things you remember? I remember I had a pair of trainers. They were bright yellow trainers. In fact, I think somebody called them my banana boats. And it was just at that time of your life when you're growing up, when your shoes and your feet are bigger than your body. Well, that doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? So anyway, these shoes seemed too big for me. But my uncle, who was the same uncle, coming back to the story, who had the opportunity of a lot, was like, I want your banana boats when you don't want them anymore. So actually I gave them to him when I'd pretty much worn themselves out. He wore the banana boats to do his gardening in his allotment. So there you go. So anyway, thank you for that, Robert. It certainly set me off on a complete interesting ramble. Jono, this is a complaint. You can use this channel and Martin Roberts Clinic to vent your frustrations, your anger, and complain at me if you want. I mean, I might not read out the worst ones. I'll certainly read out some of them. And this is from Jono. He says, railway station, not train station, question mark. Is it a plane port then? Get it right, come on, you know. What do we think? Railway station? Is that wrong? Yeah, look, there's a button thing somewhere on the screen right now, and it's one of those, what's that, survey things. Do the survey. Should it be train station or railway station? Just let me know, because I'm kind of torn on this one. Plane port, well, you know, what's wrong with that? Well, I don't call it a plane port. It doesn't sell air at an airport, do they, though? It's not where air is ported or kept. So actually, I think to you, Jono. Anyway, serious one now. Renato Rossi writes, my brother and I don't know if we should purchase a property to renovate, then sell in this current climate. Do you think we should wait for things to get better? Well, Renato, I think you are actually sort of backed into a corner on this one, aren't you? I mean, there isn't much a lot happening in the property market because the lenders aren't sort of doing a lot of lending, and the valuers aren't doing a lot of valuing, and the estate agents aren't doing a lot of viewing. So, you know what? It's too complicated. There's too many hurdles in the way. Hopefully this will all be over very soon, and I think it's just worth hanging fire until then. Okay, Adam, what's your honest opinion of people who don't read the legal pack? Well, honestly, I mean, like, really honestly? Like, with rude words, honest? Muppets. I did a Muppets ramble in a previous property clinic, so I'm not going to go off on a Muppets ramble. You know, the thing is, it's a bit like crossing a road with your eyes closed. You know, 9 times out of 10 you might be fine, but the one time you get hit, it's going to really hurt. And just in case you don't know, the legal pack is the thing that contains the legal status of that property. So is it freehold? Is it leasehold? Has it got any covenants? Has it got any rights of way running through the living room? There's all sorts of things that a solicitor can find out from a legal pack, and you need to look at it. There's something called defective title, which I'll do a whole masterclass on, where effectively it's questionable where the property is, what the property is, who owns the property. I mean, it's just really weird, and you won't know any of that stuff if you haven't read the legal pack. So, in a nutshell, Adam, they are Muppets. Rebecca Black. And I suppose this is another complaint. In the spirit of openness, I'll answer the question. A chance for our long-wondered question. I've been worried about this for a long time. Why does he, by whom I think she means me, always button up the second from bottom button on every jacket he wears? I'll be honest, I'm a property expert. I'm not a fashionista. I mean, you know, I have my bright shirts and, you know, I try to look reasonably smart and, you know, try to iron things. But I'm not really a follower of fashion. This whole buttoning of jackets thing, is there a rule? I don't care. If people are worrying about my jacket, or which button I've got done up, then I'm really failing as a presenter in my eyes. Isn't what I'm saying more interesting than which button is done up? Meanwhile, Chris, why does Homes Under the Hammer go to properties sometimes that are not completed? Well, that is just a practicality of filming the show. We have to film like so many properties to make Homes Under the Hammer. Bear in mind that, you know, we are commissioned by the BBC for about 80 programmes a year. That's 80 programmes, new programmes a year. And each one of those programmes has got 3 properties in it. So that's 240 properties we've got to get. Now, there's always a natural wastage when things don't complete on time and people have problems or whatever. Take that out of the equation. Take that out of the equation to people who decide they don't want to do it, having agreed to do it, and that happens all the time. And you realise we really can't possibly be as picky as we'd like sometimes. And we have to go back to properties even before they're completed. In an ideal world, of course, we would just wait for them all to complete. But that could be years down the line. I mean, we are lucky on a long-running show like Homes Under the Hammer that we can at least, you know, leave things to run for quite a while. Months, even years, yeah? But the idea of, I'm sorry that I just did a little hiccup. I'm sorry, I'm sure we'll edit that out. I'm just distracted. There's a wasp. There is a wasp on the window. This is weird, isn't it? I did the whole jungle thing. I had snakes on my head. I had rats. I had spiders, cockroaches, mealworms, yabbies. Not an issue. If they had put me in a room with one wasp, I would have gone absolutely bananas. I hate wasps. I think I was stung as a child. Well, I know I was stung as a child, actually. When I was in my cot, apparently, one landed on me and stung me, and I beat it to death with my plastic hammer. Did I answer that question? Can't remember. Chris, I hope that helped. Can't remember. I got distracted. Philip. It's a sort of follow-on question from Philip. Hi, Martin. I have a question about Homes Under the Hammer. Why are there so many properties at auction for auction in Stoke-on-Trent? There's almost one an episode. Well, coming back to the whole thing of the fact we have to film lots of properties to make the show possible, we have to go to auctions which deliver a lot of properties. And bear in mind, we might film 100 auction lots, and only 6 of those we get to film for various reasons. People don't want to take part, properties don't complete, blah, 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 blah. So Stoke-on-Trent has a lot of auctions. And I quite like them because they are often quite affordable and they're really good starter point properties for people. You know, 2 up 2 down terraces, lots of those in the industrial towns, built for the workers. So we go to Stoke-on-Trent because there are a lot of properties at auction, and a lot of those properties at auction do go through the whole process. And anyway, I love Stoke-on-Trent. People are lovely. Whenever we go to Stoke-on-Trent, we always get biscuits and tea and coffee when we're filming. It's absolutely lovely. So bring it on. Lee, here's an interesting question. Well, they're all interesting questions, actually. You hear a lot of people discussing refinance. How is this achieved? Okay, refinance. If you borrow money on a house, when you buy the house, say, and you get a mortgage on it, if you then do lots of work on that house or property prices go up, you might want to do what they call refinance it, which is you get a new valuation. Let's say you bought it for £100,000 and you've got a 50% loan to value mortgage. We're going to borrow £50,000. Okay, from a £100,000 property. If the property price then goes up over time to £200,000, you could refinance that property at the new value and take out a still 50% value mortgage, or loan to value mortgage, and you get £100,000 as a mortgage. Because so then that pays off your initial stake or gives you back your initial stake. So you now got £100,000 back, and you started out by putting £50,000 in. So it's a way of releasing equity money from a property by lending. Now, obviously, you have put up your borrowing on that property. You're going to have to pay more rent, more mortgage. You are putting yourself more in debt. And so that all those things have to be taken into consideration. And I'm not a financial advisor, so you must talk to an independent financial advisor and get independent financial advice before you make any decision when it comes to anything to do with property or any investments. But there is an opportunity to pull your money out of a property if it's gone up in value. And then you can obviously use that money to do other projects. And that's how some people build portfolios. So you start quite small, you gradually refinance and refinance and refinance, and your pot of money goes bigger because the property price is going up. Now, I've got to be clear that only really works very well in a rising market. In a falling market, it doesn't, but hopefully over time, the property market generally goes in the right direction. So that is how you refinance. But the best and most important thing to do, Lee, is talk to an independent financial advisor, and they will give you lots of advice. Flowers and Chains have been in contact, and they say, I've got 2.5 foot thick walls, a Georgian bungalow property, and I'm renovating the fireplace. I'm wondering about installing the now compulsory air vents. Would it be possible to have the vent in the ceiling and expel through the roof via a pipe? Right. Ventilation. Now, the good thing about old properties, especially Georgian ones and really old, really whatevers, is that in those days, they just knew how to provide ventilation and what was needed to keep the airflow in a house going. And the problem with a lot of modern properties is that we are so paranoid about energy efficiency, and quite rightly so, that we hermetically seal, as in seal these houses like boxes. And that is the cause, more often than not, of condensation, of damp in a lot of modern houses. It's just the fact there isn't an airflow. Now, the good thing about older properties is that in general, they did have more airflow. Air bricks underneath the floors, slightly more drafty windows, but they also built in cleverly engineered ways of just getting air circulating around the house, which is why if you block those things up in older houses, it's really bad. You can get things like dry rot and you get all sorts of problems. You need to keep the house breathing. That was how it was designed. That's what you should carry on allowing it to do. But when you come to installing a fireplace, you obviously do need to have ventilation, lots of ventilation. You're quite right. There are rules, building regulations regarding ventilation required when installing any kind of fire, especially a gas fire. But I would have thought, check around first. Check around the house itself to see what is hidden under the floor. And you might even find there's almost like a secret passageway underneath the fireplace that leads to a vent in the fireplace that leads to an underground cavern or an underground tube, if you want a better word, that leads to an outside wall when there's another air brick. So I would search that out first before I started doing your stuff with expelling through the roof and pipes and stuff. Hope that helped. Final two, Mark Hutton. Are there any properties you've seen that had amazing potential, but you revisited only to find out that the owner had completely ruined it, but you had to be nice in the review? Oh my word, yes. Oh. Most of the time, people do a great job, and I'm very proud of what they do. Just once in a blue moon, they really mess it up. A red leatherette kitchen springs to mind, where somebody had, and the thing that really annoys me most is when people take out period features in a beautiful period property, and you go back and go, oh my God, why did you do that? You've taken out some gorgeous antique pine doors, and you've replaced them with modern... What are you thinking? Anyway, but yeah, no, I think because everyone's taste is different, and you know what? If they're doing it to live in, who cares? It's their taste, it doesn't matter. If they're doing it to rent out, or they're trying to make a property that's the most appealing it can be, then possibly personalising it is a bad thing to do. Red leatherette kitchens. Last question, David Sims. No, there's two more. Sorry, oh my gosh. This is because this one's quite quick. Daniel Sims. Why do I love Homes Under the Hammer so much? Oh, thank you, Daniel. Could be me, he says cheekily. The music, the fact it's real people doing real projects, the fact you never quite know what's going to happen, the fact you shout at the television, the fact that the editors are so clever picking obscure songs that just somehow link to what we're showing on the show, the fact that, you know, it is achievable and you might be able to do it and you never know what's going to happen. Hopefully those are a few of the reasons, but I'm glad you do. Anyway, final question from David Wilcox. Ever found anything dodgy when you've been rummaging around a Homes Under the Hammer property? By dodgy, I mean some of the houses that we do feature have been used for various things in their lives, and sometimes some of the worst ones. I mean, we have been to them, some of them have been used as sort of drug dens and all sorts of stuff. And so we have been in properties where there have been syringes. And I remember a very, very, very dicey experience once of a cameraman who was walking backwards filming me, and he almost stood on an upturned needle. I mean, which is why you must always wear heavy shoes when you go looking around some of these dodgy properties, just rundown properties, because you never know what you're going to stand on. The only other dodgy thing is, I tell you the dead body story. I can't remember if I told you the dead body story. Well, I'll tell you the dead body story anyway. If I've told it to you already, then please forgive me. But the weirdest thing we ever found in a property was a dead body. Well, okay, so here's the story. We were at a property, I think it was in the Cumbrian coast. It was one of those places where obviously it had been left fairly speedily, and I think it might have been a repossession or something like that, which is a real shame. But people had looked like they'd been living there until almost like the kettle was still warm. And we went into this property. Literally, it's like the Mary Celeste. The director went into one of the bedrooms and came out ashen, white-faced. What's the matter? He said, "There's a dead body in the bed." And we're like, "What do you mean there's a dead body in the bed?" Yeah, right. He said, "No, really, there's a dead body in the bed." We're like, "What?" So we all tiptoed into the bedroom, and sure enough, there's a body in the bed. And we're like, "Oh, that's a first. Oh my gosh, wow, a dead body in the bed, wow." And then it started snoring. It's like, okay. And then we all sort of put the cupboard and we sort of nudged the body, which then sat upright in bed. And there was this old chap. And he sort of looked around us and went, "Who are you then?" We're like, "We're the camera crew from Homes Under the Hammer." And he said, "Where's my family?" So it turns out the family had left in such a rush that they'd forgotten to take Grandad with them. They'd forgotten Grandad. So he woke up, family had gone, and he's surrounded by a film crew. He was fine. We sorted it out. His daughter came to collect him. Wow. So that's probably the dodgiest thing we've ever found. So there you go. That's the property clinic for this week. If you've got any questions, you can do Ask Martin Monday, #AskMartinMonday, which is on Twitter. Ask your questions down here in the comments. Make sure that you subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching. There's lots more of this. Check around Martin Roberts Property Tips Bits, the rest of the YouTube channel. There's lots of fun stuff on there. Send in your questions and have a good week.